chariot early in the morning. Ride up in the chariot early in the morning. Ride up in the chariot early in the morning. Early in the morning just to see my Lord. Rising to the rhythm of the trumpet sound. Everybody's going, yeah, we're heavenly bound. Never you mind about what people say. We'll be shouting hallelujah on the judgment day. Right up in the chariot early in the morning. Right up in the chariot early in the morning. Right up in the chariot early in the morning. Early in the morning just to see my Lord. When I get to heaven, gonna put on shoes. I'll be shouting and a praying and a spreading the news. And people talk about the promised land. We'll be dancing to the music of the heavenly band. Right up in the chariot early in the morning. Right up in the chariot early in the morning. Right up in the chariot early in the morning. Early in the morning just to see my Lord. Early in the morning. Early in the morning. Gonna ride early in the morning. Early in the morning just to see my Lord. Early in the morning just to see my Lord. Just to see my Lord. Early in the morning just to see my Lord.
Greetings from First Congregational Church, UCC of Charlotte, Michigan. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual service. No matter who you are, no matter where you are in your walk through life, you are welcome here. Today's theme is a discussion of Jesus sending people out into the world. And we thought using a railroad would be appropriate, as that is the way people have been moving through the world.
Good morning. This morning we enter into worship using words from Psalm 100. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Know that the Lord is God. It is God that made us, and we are God's people. Enter God's gates with thanksgiving, for the Lord is good. God's steadfast love endures forever, and God's faithfulness to all generations. Let us pray. With thanksgiving and praise, we enter into your presence, life-giving God. Enfold us with your Spirit and empower us to go forth into your world as your servants. Amen.
Okay. Hi everyone, it's nice to be back in Charlotte. I just finished up my first year at Harvard and I hope to see you all soon.
We're the prayer shawl group of the church. We make prayer shawls for people that are sick and have lost members of their family, and we've been meeting out here because it's nice and warm rather than in the church, and we have a good time, and we have muffins and everything's good. And I'm here.
Hello, I'm part of the prayer shawl group, and we give away prayer shawls. We've given away hundreds of them, and we're glad to give anybody a prayer shawl that needs them, not just the members of the church, but friends of the members of the church or anybody. We just have to know about them. So anyhow, if someone needs them, don't hesitate to call the church and let them know. Bye.
Good morning from the Prayer Shawl Group. Welcome. Please come and join us anytime you want when the weather is nice. Peace out.
You're the seed that will grow a new sprout.
morning is from Exodus chapter 19, verses 2 through 8a. After they set out from Rephidim, they entered this desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what you are to say to the house of Jacob, and what you are to tell the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites." So Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people and set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him to speak. The people all responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has said." This ends the reading.
Good morning. It's good to see all of you this morning, or virtually see you at least. As we've been engaging with messages, or as I've been engaging with virtual messages, I've been having fun with them, enjoying different locations. And as I've thought about this week's text, the sending out of Jesus' disciples according to Matthew's Gospel, I found myself thinking about railroads. In part it was because there was this railroad in Charlotte, you know, the train that sits by the hospital and now is only 1 block away from my house. I think I'm going to claim it as my own train, and I'll start renting it to this train company. We had originally wanted to do the segment of the message at that particular train, but it didn't quite work out, so we've come to their headquarters here in Blissfield. But the reason for the train is that trains are very much about going out into the world. It's about the tracks that can lead anywhere and everywhere. It's about tracks that bring the goods that we use, but it's also about taking people on dreams, taking people home, and just doing a whole lot that makes for life that's enjoyable and better. It seems to me that trains and tracks are about sending out. Our passage for the day comes from Matthew's Gospel. It's his version of the sending out. Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, curing every disease and every sickness. And when he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were helpless and harassed, like sheep without a shepherd. And then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send laborers out into the field." And then we have a section of the passage where Jesus will go on and name specific disciples. And it continues. These 12, who were his disciples, he gave authority to cast out demons and to cure every disease and every sickness. Then he sent them out, saying, "Go nowhere among the Gentiles, and enter no town or village of the Samaritans, but go first to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, carry the good news that the kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, heal the leper, raise the dead, and cast out demons. Ask for no payment because you received without payment. Take no gold, no silver, no copper in your belts. Carry no bag for your journey. Do not take 2 tunics or sandals or a staff. But the worker deserves to eat. Now I confess, that particular verse always hits me strangely because it doesn't seem to quite fit. And yet I've come to the conclusion that maybe what Jesus is reminding us is as we go out, we always need to remember we need to eat. That's why congregationalists eat all the time, I guess. Jesus will then go on and say, whatever town or village you enter, look for someone who is worthy and stay with them until you leave that place. And whenever you enter someone's home, if they welcome you, let your peace remain there with them. But if not, if they do not welcome you, let your peace return to you. And as you depart from that town or village, shake off the dust that is on your feet. Now, for the purposes of disclosure, those last few verses are more of a summary than precise, so look them up on your own. However, what this passage really is about, it's about remembering that as Jesus' disciples, we are called not to live in isolation, but to live in community and to live engaged with the wider world. The lesson we heard earlier today was about not the disciples, but the Israelites who had been sent out into the world. And when they had been sent out into the world, escaping from Egypt and heading towards the promised land, they learned lessons. But they also went with the power of God. And in that lesson, the Israelites have been reminded that as they went with the power of God, God was with them, and God carried them on wings of eagles. God lifted them up. God taught them. God cared for them. It's the reminder to us that as we're called to go forth, as we're called to engage, as we're called to step into uncomfortable places, uncomfortable parts of the world, we are not alone, but God is with us. And God will be with us. And while Jesus does not directly say this to his disciples in this lesson, Jesus did say it to us in last week's lesson, it's implied. It's implied that you will be cared for. The temptation, though, for most of us is to stay where we're feeling secure, where we feel comfortable. And this is true whether we're talking about ourselves as a church family, or whether we talk about our own biological families, our own families that we've chosen through marriage and relationship, or even in our own personal lives. Most of the time, we want to stay where we are comfortable. But growth, life, engagement often happens when we can step out, step away from that which is comfortable and into that which may be new or different. I think this year it's been particularly emphasized to us as we've had COVID-19 all around us in our community. We've heard about it in the radio, we read about it on text messages and the streamings we receive over our cell phones. We're hearing about it over the television air. Our governor is talking about it. And as we've heard about COVID-19, we've all retreated. We've gone back into our caves, into our safe places. And that's right. It's good. Because there are times you do need to step back, step away, step into that place where we can be cautious, where we can recover, where we can heal, where we can rest. But when does that time come when we need to step back out into that place which may be a little more uncomfortable? When is it that we need to re-engage because it's healthy to re-engage, but also because we're called to. We're called to be a part of that world. And in that place between isolation, healing, renewal, and engagement comes this gray, fuzzy area where most of us are at. And I'm not sure whether we should be out here or back here. I have my opinions. You have your opinions. We're both right. And what a community does is we begin to figure out where it's right for us as a community. I'm simply stepping into this passage with a reminder of that call for engagement. But as Jesus sends his disciples out, he reminds them to trust in the living God. As Jesus sends his disciples out, he gives them power. And the words that caught my attention this time around were, and I give you the power to raise the dead, to cast out demons. I don't know what a demon looks like necessarily, but it seems like Jesus is expecting some pretty amazing things coming from disciples, coming from ourselves, that it's about life, it's about healing, it's about wholeness. But flowing in and through the whole of it was his reminder to us to be positive, to speak the good news, to talk about the fact that the kingdom of heaven is here with us, around us. And then go trust, go engage, and you will raise the dead. And you will help to cast out demons. And you will help to cure the sick and the diseased. And oh, by the way, engage with people who are open, receptive. If someone isn't, you don't need to confront them. You don't need to fight with them. You don't need to have a battle. Just move on. Just move on. That's what shaking the dust that's on your feet is all about. It's about walking away. And the dust that's naturally part of your shoes is just trickled out there behind you. It's about walking away. So engage with those who are receptive. Well, I could go on with this message, but I think you can go on with your own heads. Just remember, we're not just talking about being a church. We're talking about you as individuals, you as a family. God has a plan for you, a hope for you, a desire for you. And what God calls you to do is to engage with your life, engage with the world, and go forth. Amen. As we enter into prayer time, we again are at a place where trains sometimes stop, We stop to discharge people, stop to take people on board, and people wait here. This is a place where oftentimes we experience happy greetings, sorrowful farewells. We experience people coming home from work, going to work. Journeys begin, journeys end. It's a place of life, a place of community. It seems to me it's also a place to stop and pray. So let us enter into the presence of the living God. Gracious God, as we journey through life, help us to remember to stop and enter into your presence, whether we're seeking a blessing or what is about to happen, or strength, or courage, or wisdom. Help us to stop and turn to you and allow you to come into our lives, giving that which we need. We ask that you be with those in our community who are experiencing illness, worry, stress. We ask that you be with those in our community who feel as if they're just going through each day and there isn't much sense of purpose. We ask that you be with those of us who feel trapped. Come and be present and give that which we need. And in our moments of joy and celebration, enfold us and join with us in laughter, in love, in the sharing of life. Hear us as you've taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. We are yet at another place where the railroad engages with the world. This time, it's a bridge from one shore to another. It comes from I don't know where, and it goes to I don't know where. But I can imagine it being a place about a journey, about going forth into the world. So let us go forth into the world, knowing that God is with us, trusting, and trying to make our world a better place. And as we go forth, let us remember our commission. Our church will provide a place and direction for joining with God, healing the broken, educating youth and adults. We're challenged by our faith to reach out to our congregants, our community and world family, and to offer opportunities for spiritual growth and renewal. We welcome all into our Christian family. This is our mission as a church of Jesus Christ. And may God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God look upon you with kindness and give you peace. Amen.